Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. So today we're going to be going through the primaries and pretty much my predictions for the Florida, Arizona, and Oklahoma runoff elections that are occurring tonight in terms of the primaries, and I'm going to go through my predictions. We'll start off in Florida and finish off in Oklahoma. So we're going to see who I currently believe will win the primaries tonight. I mean, they occur tonight, and it's going to be very interesting to see these results considering all three of these states are swing states in one way or another. The governorship in Oklahoma is a swing state for the gubernatorial election, which is very interesting considering Oklahoma is presumably a solid Republican state. But for right now, all polling indicates that race actually could get close, with the Democrat actually leading in one of the more later taken polls. In terms of Florida, obviously the Senate elections and the governor election here are going to be very, very important right now. Two contested races with a Democratic incumbent on the Senate and a Republican incumbent on the governorship now going for the Senate election, so that's going to be pretty interesting. As for Arizona, again, a contested governor race, not as much as the Senate race, but the Senate actually has a Democrat leading, which currently has a GOP incumbent. So right now on your screen is the primary election from the state of Florida. So the Trump approval rating here is positive 4%, which is very good. This is a state that he won, as you can see on your screen as well, the 2016 results by 1.2%. So he is outperforming his margin by, around 3%. That is very, very good for the president, who is currently underperforming in a number of key Rust Belt states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Iowa. A number of these states, Iowa not so much Rust Belt, but still a part of those states that did flip from blue to red across that strip in the United States. So Florida actually outperforming for the president. So our first, characterization for the primaries tonight is that Ron DeSantis is going to win the Florida Republican primary for the governor election. This is not too contested, just the race is getting a little bit closer as we reach the election season. But right now, I can say that the governorship on the Republican side for the Republican primary will go to DeSantis. As for the Democrats, Gwen Graham easily wins the Democratic primary here. Although she is not polling too well, I actually do expect her to win just based off her name recognition and the way that Florida politics goes. Pretty much whenever retiring incumbent, someone new always comes in. And right now, actually, Gwen Graham is currently leading in opinion polling, which is very interesting to me, against the Republican I just said that would win the Republican primary. And all the other GOP candidates are beating every other Democratic candidate. So right now, I would actually say Gwen Graham is the most electable Democrat as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Senate race. My bad. Rick Scott obviously winning the Senate race here, the incumbent Republican governor. Pretty popular. Not the most popular. Neither is the incumbent Democrat. But pretty much really good popularity rating. Just not in, Charlie Baker type territory. So still this race is going to be contested along with the popular, not too popular, again, actually less popular than the incumbent I just mentioned on the Republican side, Bill Nelson, going for, of course, another term, and obviously would win the Senate Democratic primary, being the incumbent from the state of Florida. So that pretty much wraps up all the projections for Florida. Let's move over to Arizona. So if we look at the current Trump approval rating here, it is currently a tie, meaning the same amount of people disapprove as approve of him, but the 2016 results are a little bit more lenient towards the GOP than they were in the state of Florida. 3.6% was the margin that Donald Trump won Hillary Clinton against, and obviously this is a Republican state. I mean, if you just know the history of Arizona, it has pretty much been a Republican state dating all the way back until Bill Clinton won the state back in 1996. So that was the last time that Arizona went to the Democrats. And right now the Senate is held by the GOP, both Senate seats, and the governorship is currently held by the GOP. Right now, this state of Arizona, we should be looking for high Democratic numbers, considering the change in terms of turnout and energy on the Democratic side. If we're not seeing it, it doesn't look too good for the Democrats having a possibility of flipping this seat from the GOP, because we will be seeing the same exact thing that we saw in 2016, and that doesn't spell out good news, considering they lost it by 3.6% in 2016. But the state of Arizona, the incumbent Republican governor, obviously would win his election. Doug Ducey wins the Republican primary. Some people actually think this race could get a little bit contested, but I do expect a double-digit lead for Doug Ducey at the end of the day. And in the state of Arizona, again, David Garcia wins the Democratic primary. A lot of people think that Farley could actually win this race, but right now David Garcia has been consistently leading in every single poll. There's not a single poll that doesn't show him ahead. So for right now, I am comfortable enough saying David Garcia would win in a state, especially with this whole Democratic wave occurring. I definitely think that he could win the Democratic primary in Arizona. As for the Arizona Republican primary and the Senate race, Martha McSally easily wins this race. I mean, right now, Kelly Ward was originally leading, but then after her comments about Senator McCain, she dropped in opinion polling. Martha McSally easily rebounded and gained in numbers, and also Joe Arpaio entering the race doesn't help either of them either. But obviously, Martha McSally actually leading by 20% in the most recent poll. I can project that she will win the Republican primary there. And in the Democratic primary, Kristen Sinema, this one isn't too contested. She is probably going to be the Democratic nominee. There is another candidate, but she's not too prominent either. So Kristen Sinema actually leading in every single opinion poll, taking against the Republicans, which is very interesting. From the state of Arizona, the Democratic frontrunner will likely win the Democratic primary come the end of the evening. So the final state we can focus on is the state of Oklahoma, just as a runoff election in the governor election. Of course, held by the GOP at this point in time, but if we look at the 2016 results, 36.4% for Donald Trump, but the current Trump approval rating is positive 15%. So still, this is a very, very, very Republican state compared to the last two that we just focused on. Yes, Florida and Arizona both went to Donald Trump, but not by margins where he would win by 36% statewide. So again, like I said before, this race actually could get contested, which is very, very insane, in my opinion. Seeing a state that went for Trump by 36% now possibly having a chance of going to the Democrats is very interesting, but also when it comes down to it, Oklahoma is not as partisan as you might think. There aren't as many GOP statewide officials as you might expect, and also recent special elections, have been showing a little bit more of a hint towards possibly a Democratic way, but I don't expect this to be some huge blowout for the Democrats. If the Democrats even want to have a shot at winning, it's going to be very narrow, but for right now, I still think that the GOP will retain this race. But pretty much the runoff election, probably going to be the next governor from Oklahoma. Kevin Stitt would win the Oklahoma runoff election. Not much data is on this race, so this is pretty much the race that I am least confident about. But for right now, I do think that he will win the Republican primary runoff in the state of Oklahoma. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.